Thrasher magazine's YouTube channel has 93 uploads with more than 1 million views. Among the variety of different upload types, individual skate parts make up those 93 videos. 6 of those standalone individual skate parts have accumulated more than 2 million views. Unless I'm grossly overlooking a YouTube upload, getting more than 2 million views on your own personal standalone skate part is an achievement that only 6 skaters on the platform have achieved so far. By standalone part, I mean these 6 skaters released an edit of their footage cued to music, and it wasn't part of a bigger video with fellow riders of a particular company. For example, the Go Miyagi upload on Thrasher has more than 3 million views, but the part was made for Heroin Skateboard's Video Nasty, and not solely for Go Miyagi. Another example is the 10-minute Jaws upload from 2015 that has amassed 4.7 million views, which is a rough cut with no music from his decline part in the True Blue video. I picked 2 million views as the cutoff, selfishly because of burnout from logging tricks, but also because I noticed that there are individual parts out there, not on Thrasher, that have been able to breach over 1.5 million views in some cases. In other words, from what I've found, only 6 people so far have been able to release an edit on their own and get above 2 million views on YouTube. Shane O'Neill is one of those individuals, earning himself 2.1 million views from his 2015 Shane Goes part. Only 43% of the 49 tricks Shane performs are regular in this part, with over 30% being switch, 22.5% nollie, and 4% are fakie. More than 73% of the tricks performed are either a flip trick, or include a flip in or flip out of a grind or slide. Kick flipping into a grind or slide is Shane's most prominent flip trick type, comprised of 3 that are in switch stance, 1 nollie, and 1 regular. Grinds are the most common trick type in Shane Goes, making up over 30% of the part. Shane did release another part 2 years later on the Nike SB channel, Levels, which currently has 2.2 million views, understandably due to the clear progression he'd been making since Shane Goes, and the higher resolution and video quality. Some of Shane's clips look like they were inspired by the Rodney Mullen vs. Daewon Song era videos, and O'Neill's execution is like a combination of Rodney's innovation and Daewon's steez, but overall gnarlier with bigger rails and stair sets. 2019 Thrasher Sodi Milton Martinez dropped Demolition in November that same year, and has since racked up 2.7 million views for the 10-minute part, featuring no less than a hefty 71 unique tricks. Unlike stanceless Shane, Milton remained regular for 98% of Demolition's duration. Milton's preferred method of getting clips was in the form of transition, which takes up almost 28% of Demolition. Of those 23 transition clips, 34% feature Milton kickflipping into either a bank or grind. I personally don't relate to Milton's style of skating, particularly the blatant disregard for anyone in his way, but it's undeniable that the sheer danger factor in every clip, along with the redemption arc of conquering the car wash for his ender after obliterating his leg at the same spot in the past, all came together to create the perfect storm of virality for YouTube views. Nyjah Huston's 67-trick OMFG part dropped in late 2015 and has since been viewed 3.7 million times, making it the 4th most viewed standalone skate part on Thrasher. Both Shane Goes and OMFG came out in 2015, but even with tens of thousands of likes and multi-million view counts, Thrasher chose Anthony Van Engelen as that year's Sodi, which was the same year his part in the Vans Propeller video dropped. Nyjah's OMFG part heavily focuses on slides and grinds, with over 83% of the 67 tricks falling under those 2 categories. Compared to Shane Goes, Nyjah edges out O'Neill in fakie and nollie tricks by 5% and 2% respectively, but falls relatively short in the switch category compared to Shane, with only 10% of Huston's tricks being switch, while O'Neill whipped out 30% of his part in switch stance. It would be interesting to know what drew the inspiration in 2015 for both Shane and Nyjah to have backside crook inward heels highlighted in their parts, with Shane's being slightly more complex with the frontside element included. Nyjah distinguishes himself from Shane's world-class technical edge through the hectic nature of skating scarier rails, But unlike Milton's reliance on danger alone, Houston supplements the horror with a tasteful trick selection, some of which are hard to define given the awkwardness. It's worth mentioning that, yet again, similar to Shane, Nyjah's released a longer, gnarlier video part Till Death on Nike SB's YouTube channel a few years after OMFG, which is the most viewed video on the Nike SB channel with almost 10 million views. Creeping up the view count ladder on standalone skate parts is Luan's 48-trick Strike and Destroy from early 2014. The oldest video on the list so far, Strike and Destroy currently has 4.3 million views and is mostly comprised of high-speed flat ground, 37.5% to be specific. Luan's stance portfolio is well diversified, probably the most evenly of every video mentioned up to now, with a decent 12% of nollie tricks being the least represented stance. There's a lot to be impressed with in Strike, solely from Luan mastering the craft of fast, crisp, highly popped flip tricks on a skateboard, and the recurring soccer theme, interlaced with Brazilian footage and highly energetic instrumentation and live crowd noise in the music, culminate for an immersive viewing experience. There were some egregiously disappointing editing choices in Luan's part, mainly from the annoying cuts that would take place in the middle of Luan's tricks. The half-cab heel nose slide hard flip out was filmed from 3 different angles, which is great, and it's nice that we can see such a technical move from so many POVs. However, the first 2 angles are cut short before the 3rd angle shows the trick in its entirety. My only guess as to the rationale of this editing choice was to build up anticipation of Luan rolling away from the trick. But this idea didn't work that well, if at all, and instead of being satisfied with seeing only one angle of a trick that was beautifully filmed from 3 different vantage points, it was much more annoying that the full clips from the previous 2 angles didn't play through their entirety. Compared to Shane and Nyjah, Luan's trick selection didn't seem as well planned. Luan's part is made up of mostly lines in relation to single shots, and while it's not a rampant problem, there are a couple examples of Oliveira ending a line anticlimactically. One of the lines ends on a fakie big flip, after doing a much more difficult trick prior via the kickflip crook nollie big spin. Sometimes skaters celebrate landing a hard trick with some impromptu flat ground, but the deliberate push here indicates Luan intended to conclude the line with a yawn-worthy fakie big flip. The last line in Strike and Destroy is 6 tricks long, but it starts off better than it ends, and the final trick being an underwhelming switch frontside big spin over a 6-inch curb was random. These nitpicking details don't ruin the video by any means though, thanks to Luan's skill and good filming. Going back further in time, Tori Pudwill's Big Bang from mid-2011 is the 2nd most viewed standalone skate part on Thrasher's channel, making it the oldest video mentioned so far with 5.9 million views. 53 tricks are depicted in Big Bang's nearly 7-minute runtime. Tori favors regular heavily in Big Bang, with switch and nollie only showing up 15% and 7.5% of the time, respectively, and no fakie tricks are present. Slide variations are the most prominent trick category, 40% of which makes up Big Bang, and Tori flips either in, out, and or during a slide in more than 50% of those tricks. Apart from the apparent comfort with flipping in and out of slides and grinds, Big Bang also leaves an impression from how long Tori stays locked into said slides and grinds, and the hard flip manual over the handrail was an unexpected surprise you don't see often. 2011's Big Bang might be the 2nd most viewed standalone skate part on Thrasher's YouTube channel, but it was Grant Taylor who would win SOTY that year, and unless I'm mistaken, a video part was specifically compiled to commemorate Grant's achievement, which is right behind Shane Go's as the 7th most viewed solo skate part. Richie Jackson's 6-minute 36-trick Death Skateboards part from early 2016 is the most viewed standalone skate part on Thrasher's YouTube channel, and probably the entire platform, with 11.1 million views. All you need to see is Richie's first clip to know that this part isn't comparable to the aforementioned parts, when Jackson dark slides head-on down heavily waxed stairs. Apart from a wall ride, every single trick is either a refreshingly creative twist on eclectic classics, or some type of NBD altogether. While some might be turned off at the lack of danger Richie faces in this compilation of low-impact skating compared to Nyjah, Milton, and maybe even Luan, Jackson's ingenuity with a popsicle deck is apparently more relatable and entertaining than the former examples. Richie's part also forces the viewer to take note of clothing. Milton had his Converse, Shane has his long sleeve button-downs, but Richie puts just as much thought into his clothing choices as he does with his trick selection, all the way down to the Dolly-esque curled mustache, thick sideburns, and 70s style bell-bottom jeans to match the floral button-down with vest combo. The Death Skateboards part is strictly skate clips of Richie Jackson from start to finish. No B-roll, and no board throwing. Shane Goes has the highest like to dislike ratio out of the 6 2 million plus views standalone skate parts at 99.3%, while Nyjah's 97.44% has the most thumbs down compared to likes. Milton's 10-plus minute Demolition understandably has the most credited videographers with 16, while Luan's had the least with only 2 names. So with all this info, what is the secret formula or underlying themes to getting multi-million view counts on a skate edit? Luan was able to get more views than Milton with only 2 filmers. The average trick count from the 6 videos is 54, led by Demolition's 71, and Richie's 36 is the lowest. Maybe there's a minimum amount of footage you need to produce in order to make an impression on viewers with your style, and wow an audience with how much you're willing to travel to spots to stack 50-plus clips. Perhaps it's not that complicated, and these 6 skaters bubbled to the top of the popular videos list because they simply are the best in class at what they do in their realm of skateboarding. Shane is consistently mentioned as one of the best skaters ever, period. Milton does more dangerous stunts on a regular basis than anyone, at least in 2019. Nyjah is known for competition skating, but he was applying complex grinds and slides to scary rails that few would step to in 2015. Luan's combo of speed, pop, and board control are unmatched. Tori's probably the hardest to define, because he's not the only skater to do long slides or flip in and out of tricks, although he's since proven that he can hold backtails until the cows come home. Big Bang is by far the oldest video of the 6 standalone video parts, so technically an upload from a decade ago gets a natural advantage of more time to rake in views than Milton's 2019 edit, for example. Richie's skating is focused more on creativity than technicality, indicated by the 92% regular stance ratio from the 36 tricks. A casual viewer who isn't familiar with the nuances of different stances and backside and frontside in skateboarding could still enjoy and appreciate Richie Jackson's part, while it could be argued that the steep drop in views from 11 million to 5.9 million for Big Bang is because Pudwill's catering more to the core community, who pay closer attention to things like flipping in versus flipping out, or Nyjah's awkward trick selection on scary rails.